Hey guys, what's cracking? Godsman here, and today we've got my buddy, my friend, my pal, David. How are we doing?
Pretty good. You might also know me as BC7845 if you see me bitching on YouTube or Reddit.
He kind of gets around. I think he gets around even more than me, man. And I like whenever we go on Reddit, hell, even on like some YouTube, you know, you just see his comment. I'm like, oh, so what did David comment this time? Anyway, so you kind of see it in the thumbnail and the description, but today we're going to be talking about these buyouts that have been going on for the new trial decks. So just for reference, pretty recently here, we just in English got the release of the 3 new trial decks, which is the Michiru Hazama, aka Drajeweled, Koshiba Raika, aka sorry, not Skyfall, Youthberk, and also Urada, whatever her last name is, I don't care, Lianorn decks. So yeah, there have been a lot of buyouts going on recently, and it's quite insane what's been going on. So I thought, hey, why not have the guy who's been keeping tabs a lot of this on the channel here, and we have a discussion and just explain why did this happen and what does this mean for the future. So let's start with the economic bit, because this is the easiest to understand. So what are we looking at from the economy side of things? Why did this happen?
Yeah, well, so we're looking at the demand of this product, right? This is actually a pretty in-demand product, and it's for 2 big reasons. I think there's 2 big reasons why we really want this product. The first one is very obviously Elementaria Sanctitude.
The best Sentinel in the game.
This is probably one of the best Blitz orders ever made. Not to mention like the best Sentinel ever made, because it plays around basically every guard restriction that's ever existed off the top of my knowledge.
We like looked. We literally just bounced back and forth guard restricts that are coming up. Like not just the obvious ones, right? Like the Crystal Luster Chain Ranker guard restricts, or even D guard restricts like Flagberg and Loronarol. We even brought up Mother Effing Fetus, and it works on Fetus. Yeah. It literally works for anything, guys. This is cracked. Not just for standard, but for premium as well. So that's 2 formats. That's going to be a big part. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so in the premium side of things, that honestly might be where it's a bit bigger, right? Because unlike in Japan, the premium format scene here is actually a little... It's bigger than it is in Japan. We have dedicated premium players over here. So and this is even more essential in premium, because obviously this works against strides. The fact that this is free against strides. Yeah, so this card's incredible for premium. It's a must-have staple card. You need it. And you know, for the first like 3 days, it wasn't even listed as a single. So a lot of premium players were probably just saying F it, and they were just buying the trial deck to get the 1 copy of Sanctitude.
Right, and let's just pay attention as well. You mentioned 3 days. It just got listings. Only a couple of them. It's $20 a pop for what's not even like some big rarity. It's incredible.
Yeah, this card's insane. It's going to be a staple for a very, very long time if you can pick up your copy. I highly suggest you do.
I don't think it gets power crept out like at all.
This is such an insane card. The second thing I want to talk about is we've had a drought of good Overdress product for a while. We've had a lot of collab sets. Like we've had Shaman King, we've had Record of Ragnarok, and then we had set 5, which is a lot cooler of a set than like anybody initially gave it credit for. But realistically, it didn't like change a whole lot.
It was no set 4, bro.
Yeah, and then you had Lyrical Booster set 2, which a lot of vendors didn't even want to buy because of how badly Lyrical Booster set 1 did. And as a result, a lot of the cards in Lyrical set 2 are actually very expensive. But also, you know, like the most expensive cards are for, you know, a tier 1 deck. But Yeah, so I mean, like, there was lyrical and cool lyrical, but that's not what people are really excited for. It's become very clear the lyrical is not Bermuda, and lyrical doesn't sell nearly as well as Bermuda did. The big set, the last really big set we had, was set 4. Mm-hmm. That was in February.
It's like 8 months.
Yeah, so, I mean, I can't blame people for chomping at the bit.
Right, right. And also, when it comes down to it, you know, the trial for lyrical wasn't like all that great. The last time we had a trial that seemed like it, and I'm not even sure how well it did do. Like the Mide one didn't really do that well, and of course the starters as well. They were $5. Like, how are you supposed to profit off of $5?
Yeah. So this is a big thing. I don't want the player base to attack suppliers for the fact that they have marked up this product, because they have marked up this product, like at least by like 50%. I don't want them to attack these suppliers like 50 cards and, you know, any of these other shops. I don't want them to attack these suppliers because they have been eating losses with these start decks, with the lyrical trial deck doing as terrible as it did, or just in the lyrical product in general was probably like one of the worst products they made. And it did not perform very well. The best product that like Overdress has had, probably in terms of sales, was set 4, and it's been 8 months. So like, I can't, you know, they got to put food on the table too. So I can't blame them for, you know, a 50% markup to make profits. I can't blame them for that.
Right. So that's a fair bit of what we've got from the economical standpoint. Is there's a lot of demand, not because we're starving, but also because there's elementary sanctitude, and so a lot more is coming their way when there's not a lot of vendors for Vanguard. And this is where we kind of need to go into another aspect of this: is why the hell are there not that many vendors? We already talked about how some of the products are just been kind of crappy with their sales, but there's also V implications to talk about.
Yeah. So V kind of screwed over a lot of vendors. And as a result, we have far less vendors than we did. We lost a lot of vendors during V. If you're not aware, because you weren't around back then, basically, specifically towards the end of V, we were getting sets, like core sets, like game-changing, meta-changing sets, like every 5 to 6 weeks.
Oh, God. Yeah. Yeah, you literally go from a release schedule of Silverdust Blaze, and then within like the next few months, you just every month, just about like give or take a week or so, you were going into Moonlight, which had Night Rose and Yasuie and Shahado. You were going into Phantom Blaster Aeon, which had Luard, and I guess also to an extent Rising Nova. And then we went into the Thavas set. It gave us Sheer stuff, but really Thavas was the highlight of that one. And into Divine Lightning Radiance, which, oh my god, that one in particular was just so bad. It gave us so much. It gave us Gav, Gurgit, Percival. Oh, it's disgusting. Oh, Aeonasis, Astropod support.
And then not even like a month later, we would get Bermuda, and if you played V for the past like 2 years, you know exactly.
Twinkle Melody is so disgusting. Anj, like Anj did it for this dude. For me, it was Plan. I mean, Plan just turns off the clan distinctions that made like the format just by getting you whatever gift you freaking wanted. That's my pick. Let's not talk about Prism. Prism was a scourge, the like of which that could not be erased for a good while. You know, it felt like the Zodiac of mother effing Vanguard for a while.
It was pretty poor. Yeah. So basically, the way this works is, let's say VBTOA comes out. The stores, they buy VBTOA because it's got Dragonic Overlord, the Cross in it. Like, hell yeah. And it's got Messiah. Hell yeah, let's get that.
Gangbuster cards, yep.
Yeah, so like these are just meta defining. But the player base knows that in a month we're getting Night Rose and Shaharat, and they say fuck it. Why would I buy VBTO8?
And suddenly VBTO8, this pretty good set, well, if you're not talking about like balance and stuff, is sitting on the shelves with dust.
That happened a few too many times. You know, you talk about the main.
I brought that one up a bit. Yeah, as a Shadows guy, this one's a pretty deep knowledge. Essentially, soon after Phantom Blaster Aeon came out, Luard had an emergency restriction with Nemain. The thing though is that a lot of sellers, they were like kind of stocking up for this because Nemain was such an incredible staple of the deck. So they essentially had to eat massive losses because of the restriction. Their Nemains were not worth nearly as much because of that sudden choice restrict that they were not aware of, just coming right down. So that pissed off a lot of vendors and made them stop wanting to buy. As a matter of fact, a vendor near where I'm at, right, I asked him, do you sell Vanguard? He's like, oh, I haven't done it since the one choice restrict. He didn't remember the name of the cards by this point, but I knew which choice restrict he was referring to. It was that bad.
We've lost a lot of stores, and I don't want anybody to like take that as like, oh, Vanguard's dying this game, because it's not.
Oh, it's not.
It's not. We still have a dedicated fan base for this game, and as long as there's a dedicated fan base willing to buy this product, the game's going to be going for a while. And very, very clearly, you know, there's a buyout for these trial decks. Very, very clearly, there's a demand.
Right, a buyout, in a sense, is a good problem to have, because it means that Vanguard is bussin' right now. We're growing. And we're going to talk more about, you know, sort of the positive twist to all this near the end. But, yeah, so V screwed the pooch kind of big time with the vendors. So we're low on vendors who can even give this supply. So supply is limited when there's a much bigger demand, and we already talked about the demand on that. But there's something else to talk about. Is there anything before we move on that you wanted to briefly mention?
Yeah, the last thing I want to talk about is how difficult it is for vendors in particular to handle 3 different formats. Specifically stores, because, you know, when it was V, you know, you have V standard, and then you might have a day for premium if you have a premium fan base at your locals. But it's really hard to do that for 3 formats, right? So there's going to be stores that just don't play standard because their players don't play standard. And they, you know, that's probably going to sound weird if you live in like Japan, say, where standard is pretty much the only format and nobody plays V or premium. That's going to sound weird.
Premium has been coming up a bit recently, but yeah, premium used to be just like a dead zone for a long time in JP.
But yeah, here in the States, you can go to locals and you'll find locals that like, yeah, we don't play standard, we play V.
Yeah,
we play premium.
So odd.
And like that exists here. We have dedicated fan bases to these alternate formats, and the fact that there is 3 formats is part of the problem. So there's going to be stores that just don't buy standard product.
Yeah, that's just how it is, you know. And we're not Magic the Gathering. We're a growing community, but we're not like that kind of community where there's millions to back it to sustain these other kind of formats. That's just not how it's working. It's unfortunate because V is my favorite, and I think it's going to be my favorite for a good while. But the thing about V is it's a middle child format that didn't deserve to be around. The only reason it's still around is because Bushy made their obligation to do so, because they knew they were going to piss off and lose a lot of the player base who had invested so much into V. And there's something really shocking about V that you brought up that, I mean, hey, you know, tell the classroom, man. I like was so shocked to hear this.
Yeah, so I only learned this a couple months ago myself, but essentially reading over some tweets from Kidani, basically Overdress has been in the works since G, since like 2017, and I don't think, this is kind of speculation, I don't know if V was ever meant to be a sustainable format. And that would explain why we were getting sets literally 6 weeks apart from each other. It was just, I hate to say it, it just kind of feels like a cash grab.
Cash grab,
It was
yep.
just
Nostalgia pander cash grab. Just get.
And, you know, like, they were working on Overdress for this long. And it's like, they just needed more time. And they bought it with V. And that's why, you know, when they rebooted to Overdress, they literally said, like, hey, we don't really, like, intend for this to be a rotating thing. Like, we don't want to rotate formats. They fully intend for Overdress to be the future of the game. They don't want to reboot again. And I can't blame them. I mean, like, every time they reboot, they lose something, right? They lose a part of the game.
Not only do they lose like a part of the game, but they lose a part of the player base, and also they lose a part of their integrity, you know, in the eyes of the people who play it.
Yep. So I mean, like, it's big, right? V, it feels bad for V, especially if you were like super invested in V when V came out.
Yeah.
But from what it sounds like, to me, there was never an intention for V to be this long-lasting format, and the intention was to reboot to Overdress eventually.
And the reason we bring this up is it just shows even more that a lot of what's happening here with the buyouts and the vendors, it's because of the sins of the past. It's because of V. And this is where I think we should be kind of transitioning over to a third element, which is what the heck is happening with the fan base's view on these trial decks, right? Because sure, we're hungry, but you know how like something doesn't taste all that good, but because you're really hungry, it tastes so much better? I think that's what's happening here. We're looking at these trial decks and people are just so on the cope. They're like, oh, these trial decks are amazing. Look at all these things you get with it. You get its own deck box. You're able to get these little neat markers for your trigger effects. You get these cool like sub-clans that are going to be, well, not sub-clans, but just archetypes that are going to be relevant with future boosters and stuff. I'm like, well, yeah, but think about what you're actually buying in this product, right? You're looking at the trial decks and you have to ask yourself, what do you actually get from it? You don't get the boss usually. Maybe Protofall Arms is kind of useful. I've seen it played occasionally in Ride deck, but that's usually for diversity cut. Drajeweled, if you want to ride off the gate, you're gonna have to play Drajeweled, the TD version, for a while. Lianorn is just it's Lianorn. We're not really gonna talk about that one, unfortunately. I feel bad for her, but aside from that, you're gonna really just need the grade 2 and the grade 1 of the ride line. You don't even need the grade 0. You just need the grade 2 and the grade 1 of the ride line. And aside from that, the only couple of cards that you could quote unquote need is maybe Cadwalla from the youth, although that's only 2 of. And the most surprising one, tell us a bit, Mr. Dark Statesman, about Jewel Core.
This is, man, the Drajeweled trial deck might be the better of the three, just because there's a little more value here. You know, if you're playing Drajeweled and you want to play Drajeweled, Ultrasounds, or I think that's how you say it, is Ultrasound Thyri?
I think it was like Shri. We know Ultrasound.
That card, the grade 2. The grade 2, the counterboss 1 looks at top 3, I think, and then puts 1 into soul, and if you have 4 or more, you draw 1. So it's a nice +1, and you might play it in Drajeweled. It's a little iffy, though, because you're a little CB heavy, right? So that's an interesting card that you can get, and just like Cadwalla, it's a 2 of. It's a 2 of, and the expansion, of course, the best cards in this trial decks are 2 ofs. I don't understand why. Cadwalla is not even like a guarantee. I know a lot of people are really on Cadwalla right now. I don't know what that's about, because I've been talking about it for weeks on Reddit, that it was like, Cadwalla can be replaced now, guys.
Yeah, I think in youth, you don't need to run Cadwalla. Like, Cadwalla is finding its home as more of like, it's like grade 2 painkiller in its own way, but you know, here's my problem with Cadwalla, right? My problem with Cadwalla is that when you're wanting it for the youth thing, you shouldn't put it there. If anything, I think where Cadwalla has become most useful, and I can see where people roll their eyes when I say this, Ram Grace. Yeah. Yeah.
it's generic, okay,
Right.
and that's the best part about it, is that it's generic. It's a generic. It's probably nice if you're a Keter fan to have a playset of it. So I understand where they're coming from there, just in case it comes up later. I'm not necessarily going to like say you should be playing this in youth, but like just in case it comes up later. It'd be nice to have a playset of it. So I understand where they're coming from. Arcade Wallet, it just sucks. Are you really gonna go out and pay $30 to get 2 copies of this card?
I mean,
but anyways, we're
single. Anyway, go on.
we're gonna talk about Jewel Core now. Jewel Core comes in 2 different forms. In Drajeweled, it comes with the one that doesn't have an effect. It's supposed to be a teaching card or whatever, a tutorial card. That's what they called it. And then the other copy of it is the regular one with the effect. But what that means is per trial deck, there's only one Jewel Core Dragon. And Jewel Core Dragon, interestingly enough, is probably one of the best trial deck cards, because this card essentially... this card's really good. This card's really, really good. It's good in Bruce.
Bruce gets to do some wild things with Jewel Core. Tell him what happens when you throw in Jewel Core into a deck like Bruce.
So, like, Jewel Core can, like, remove itself from the field. It's one of the few cards that can remove itself from the field. So this works well with Julian, who needs to call to open rearguard circles. This works well with Lianorn, who needs to call to open rearguard circles. This also strangely works with Ivanka. So this is wild. It is wild to me. And you gotta have the soul anyway, so why not?
Yeah.
Why not? This card just goes into soul. It gives you one of your 5 soul anyways. And the best part about it is it swings for 13. Which means it hits without a boost.
And not only does it hit without a boost, it's a great number when you're early gaming. And you know what Bruce struggles with? Early game.
Yeah, it really helps on that grade 3. It really, really helps on that grade 3 turn. But it also helps on grade 2. You'll like call it down on grade 2. You'll swing with it. It goes into soul. And then on your grade 3 turn, then you'll call out either the new triple rare, I can't remember the name of, Miloslava, I think. Miloslava?
Close enough, yeah.
Or Julian or whatever. And you can call it back out of the soul and get another attack with it. And then follow up again on your final rush turn. Of course, it's even crazier, right? But it's like you get a lot of usage out of this card because Bruce, for whatever reason, has this Pale Moon playstyle where they're shoving cards in, shoving cards out of soul. And it fits in perfectly there, but it only comes as 1 copy with the effect in the trial deck.
That really hurts the value of the trial deck if you're looking for that card.
That card was bought out on day 1 of this fucking trial deck being out. I remember there was somebody who posted on Reddit. I felt so fucking bad. I felt so bad because he was like, I was looking at the last 2 copies and it's already gone. And I'm like, yeah, I know that card's gone. I know it's gone. I'm sorry.
He's gone to heaven with brainwash.
And it's not even the holographic rarity, dude. It was the common. It was the common rarity. It was bought out. It was gone. It's just like crazy. This card's gonna be hella value just because it comes as a one of in a product that is selling for $30+ on TCG.
Right.
It's freaking crazy. So yeah, I mean, like, I'm just looking at these trial decks and I see very little value though. Right. I don't see the value that everybody else does. Like, Sanctitude is a crazy motherfucking card, and that's like the reason you're buying these, in my opinion. It's like Sanctitude, you get your ride line, which you do need your ride line, but then some of it's just kind of coping, right? Like, right. for youth, right, where you talk about youth because you're really familiar, set 6 youth, technically you're probably still playing Cade Wallow. Set 6 youth, you're probably still playing Zest.
You don't have many alternatives. You know, you just literally play like a lineup of you can go different depending on how you look at it. I think you and I both agree though that it's probably best to go for the 4 Gus 3 Zest lineup. You know, like that makes sense. Probably a couple Cadewalla there.
Yeah, so I mean, like, you know, you're playing trial deck cards in set 6, but by set 7,
no sir,
this is out. This is out the window by the time you get to set 7. Set 7 Youth is absolutely crazy, and it's such a powerful deck, and it doesn't use jack from this trial.
And you want to know the damning part? You know, we say set 7, but it's not a far-flung thing. It's coming December. Just a couple months, and set 7 is here, dude. So really, a lot of like any value that these trial decks have, particularly Drajeweled, is good for a couple months. So if you just wait a bit on it, well, look, there you go, buckaroo, you're good to go. So really, if you wanted to approach it from a different angle, just wait until like things kind of like pick up okay again, buy singles of your like ride line and if they're the Elementaria, and then just wait for set 7 if you need to. There you go, and build your deck.
One argument you can make is that this is the current BCS season. So I understand if you really want to play, like you want to play set 6 Youth, you want to play it now. I'm just going to be real with you. Even if you have set 6 Youth, like fully, like you got the whole deck, I really don't think it's competitive enough to keep up with set 6 Bruce. You're not keeping up with set 6 Bruce. I don't know when we get the Eva promo.
Gravidia, Coyote, Mahar, hell, even Thegria is kind of popular in the West. You know, it's not keeping up with these.
Yeah, or Flagberg.
Oh, Flagberg, that monster. Did you see the Florida results, man? It's Floridaberg now, baby. There was like 4 or 5 flags in there in the top 8.
Florida man builds Flagberg.
Yeah. Welcome to Flagburger, home of the Flagburger. Christ.
Yeah, I mean, like it's fine. Like Flagberg is literally one of the strongest decks in standard. I'll stand by that. That's like easily a top 5. But like, don't tell Assault Rider I said that. Yeah, seriously, like Youth's not keeping up in set 6. As much as I really wanted it to, I playtested the crap out of set 6 Youth. And it was too hard. You just couldn't produce any card advantage, and like it was hard to keep up, especially with decks that could actually plus. Yeah, actually like generate advantage. It was just too much.
That's exactly it. There was too many break evens to keep up. You needed, and literally set 7 gives us all of our value cards. It gives us Tempest, Wayward, and Sequana. Yeah. Yep. I mean, hell, even the other triple rare. What's his name? Like Caber or whatever. If you want to run that, I've seen Youth play that. Anyway, I interrupted.
No, that's fine, because that's one card I also wanted to bring up, was that one as well. The other triple rare, it's I think that's better than Cadewalla, but I understand with Cadewalla it has a good matchup against like control decks like Barsagra and Gravidius. I understand why you might want to go that route anyways. So this is what we're kind of referring to as these trial decks. Just it is even set 7 Drajeweled. Like I play set 7 Drajeweled pretty actively here. You're not playing anything from this trial deck. I'm just being honest. Yeah,
you're just not. And like Shri is the best like you could even like hope for, and Shri is just where you're gonna like go is like get your Shris, just go and buy singles. So really, this is all accumulating to just saying that the trial deck's value, at least when you're trying to optimize the decks that they're based on, are very low. They have very, very, very low value. Such low value that you should just buy singles when singles become available. Just buy the singles and go for it. For casual gamers, these are really cool sets, and you do get like neato things. If you're trying to get in the game, it's like, oh yeah, these are like really cool, but they're not worth the $35. They're just not. And you were bringing this up before, but I think it kind of was our onus as more veteran players. It's kind of weird calling myself that, but as veteran players, to warn some of the newer players, pre-order these. You know?
Yeah, we should have told people more actively as veteran players that you should have pre-ordered these. I saw the pre-orders. I saw them I saw 50 cards pre-orders. They were very fairly priced. I think it was like $15.99 plus like $6.99 shipping. I think it was like $24 after tax. And it's like, if everyone had known that, and if we had like, done our job, told people like, hey, if you're gonna buy some sealed product, you should probably pre-order these. We should, like, because new players, they probably had no idea.
Right.
They had no idea what they were in for.
Right, yeah. And again, like, let's just be real. I think the value you do get out of it, they're usually like just cards that come as like one-ofs, in these decks, right? Jewel Core, the other ride line pieces, the Elementaria. It's just a really unfortunate thing. But I think now we can segue into the final point, which is, how do we absorb all this, right? I think the way we sort of conceptualize the entire fiasco is this buyout was a cascade of past decisions that Bushy did wrong that are haunting a better decision they've been trying to make. These trial decks actually feel like kind of cool product in their own way. They're not very good value, especially for the price they're going for, but they're still pretty cool product overall. And Bushy wanted to do neat things with it. It's just that between the vendors and how many people are coming in for the Elementaria, which Elementaria does not deserve to be in these. They should have thrown Elementaria somewhere else, somewhere more appropriate, because that's a premium card just as much as standard, if not more. But yeah, we shouldn't blame the vendors, and I don't think we should even completely try to hammer on Bushy for this.
Yeah, it's a lot of different aspects. There's not like one finger you can really point and just like, hey, this is the problem here. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot that goes into it. Sanctitude, realistically, if there wasn't a supply issue, and if you could get this product at MSRP, this is an awesome thing that Bushi did. This is awesome that Sanctitude's in here. If there wasn't a supply issue, if this was at MSRP, and that's part of the value of this set. Unfortunately, premium players have to have this card.
Pretty much, it's just that much of a staple. We can't understate how powerful this card is.
Yeah, I mean, like, premium players have to have this card. So premium players were buying this trial deck, and that was decreasing the number of supply as well. So you could view Sanctitude as a negative or as a positive, but I think Bushiroad's intentions were really good here, and I cannot fault them entirely for what is happening. It's, there's just, they've made a lot of mistakes, and I feel bad a little bit, but what do you learn from this? If you're Bushiroad, what do you learn from this if you're a vendor moving forward? I'm hopeful, right? I'm hopeful that when the next wave of trial decks comes out, maybe we don't have a premium staple.
Yeah, like, that's a big one, because now you're kind of doubling up on the demand, but your supply still isn't there. Perhaps try to get more vendor relations going so that you can actually have more supply for this increasing demand, because otherwise you can't grow proportionate to your product and your community. Yeah,
maybe try and earn back some of your trust here.
Right.
And there's a lot of ways you can go about doing this, right? And the main ways is you come out and you produce good product that sells well, and you try to balance this shit as well. You don't just try to like throw product after product after product. One thing that's very exciting that we need to like mention is, we had this really long gap in time period of where we were getting product, right? It was like 4 months between core sets, but now we have 4 core sets dropping in 6 months, being set 6 in October, set 7 in December, set 8 in February, and set 9 in April. Is assuming that set 9 drops in April if we continue on this trend. And I view that as a positive thing, but also I think set 8 is going to sell like hotcakes.
Oh my god,
on the cover,
dude! Set 7 is also going to be selling like a mother effer. Oh yeah, like these next few sets are actually like pretty good overall, and not to mention the Chronojet like product that's coming out. There's,
I think we're about to get some really good products.
We're getting to value town.
This is reminiscent of how good products were in G, and I know this is like. If you're not aware, there's some products in G that are just like, damn, that's like a bomb set. And then like you have the Legend Deck-esque Chronojet. The Chronojet set is very reminiscent of Legend Decks.
Yeah, like with the Tochiki, Kai, the Aichi, and the Ren ones, all of them just being like borderline, like just super viable decks right off the package. Yeah,
you pay $30 and you get a great deck out of the gate. It was fucking fantastic.
Hell, even the MLB set in V is kind of like that.
Yeah, the MLB set, amazing product. And that's why, like, when the Messiah got revealed, I know there was some negativity about it, but I was like, dude, we're getting good product. Like, these are good products. I don't care what you think about the Stride. I don't care what you think about Stride as a mechanic. I don't give a fuck. These products are always generally pretty good. They're $30 and you get a great deck out of the gate that you make minimal upgrades to. I haven't seen the full set list, I'm not gonna lie, for Chronojet, but like I mean, for what I hear, it's like this is gonna be like the product.
Yeah,
like,
so far so good.
So I mean, this is one thing that we need to learn from what happened from these trial decks for that product specifically. You don't want what happened with these trial decks to happen with that product.
Yeah, you know, with all the demand coming in, we just need to get more on the vendor side of things. And how even Europe has it pretty bad because their distributor is like not bussin'. We'll just say their distributor's not that great, so they have like an even more compounded issue than what we're getting over here in the States, if anything.
Yeah, Europe's got it far worse than we do. Far worse.
I know some Europe players, dude, like from Sweden and whatnot. And, oh yeah, dude, the amount of cope that it comes to like getting their product, like they just won't get product time. Like when BRO was coming around for EU, a lot of people were just like, yeah, Heal Guardians, what? We're just still running our 20Ks.
I talked to English players from the UK, right? And they're premium players in the UK. Oh. And they're talking about how they literally cannot find cards from G-Era.
Oh,
they literally cannot. They cannot because their stores don't have product that old. But then over here on the English side, they like tell me a card. They're like, I can't find this card anywhere. And I look it up on TCG Player, it's like 70 cents. And there's like 1 billion copies of it on TCG Player. But that just shows how different our markets are from EU to the US. Like in the US, we have plenty of old product. Like you can buy a lot of old product here in the US for like premium stuff like that. You can't do that over there. So I mean, like EU's got it worse than we do. And it is so when we're looking at Chronojet, we need to make sure that this doesn't happen for Chronojet. Chronojet needs to be the bomb set that it needs to be.
Right.
We should be, like if it's marked up to like $40, that's fine. I'm pretty sure the Legend deck, the Aichi one, I'm pretty sure that got marked up too because they knew it was going to sell well.
Oh, that's fine. Blaster Blade Exceed.
That's fine. That's fine. $40 is fine for that quality of a product.
F it, like hell, we're talking about like some of the neat little like needle keen parts of these trial decks. You also get a cool box when you're buying these sort of like products with Chronojet and Messiah. So hey, you got a lot of love there too. But again, so just ultimately, this is sort of our message, which is that don't blame the vendors. And Bushy, a lot of this backlash, like it was kind of hard to see coming. Bushy made some genuine mistakes for something that they try to do right, and they have some tweaks to do. They have some things that they need to address to make the future sets good, but in a sense, this buyout is a good problem to have. It's a learning experience, and it shows that there's a growing interest. And this is ultimately what Overdress is supposed to do, right? We want to get more interest and revitalize the game. So yeah, all the anger that comes from these buyouts, we just have to understand that there's no real one bad guy to all this. And we just deal with it as it comes, and we approach this smarter and with more understanding, especially to players that are relatively newer and doesn't understand how the hell this happened, which is the reason why we're even making this video right now, is to inform.
Yeah, and you know, keep in mind that this might not be the only wave of trial decks. You know, we might get it. We might get another wave of trial decks.
Right.
So
yeah.
If you're really stressing it, and like you really do want these trial decks, you know, I know there's some local stores that are still selling them for $20. They still got their product. But like, keep in mind that like distributors and vendors, they see how well these are doing. They very well might buy more and restock so they can sell more. So don't stress too much. You know, they're coming back. I don't doubt it. It's not going to be sold out forever. It's not going to be $40 forever. You know, don't stress too much. It's not like you really want to play any of these decks till set 7 anyways.
Yeah, I mean, Youthberk is basically defined as a deck in set 7. You don't even get your next Drajeweled until set 7 along with Grackerger and stuff. And Lianorn is still waiting to be relatively okay with itself. I've done some testing with it, and Lianorn's not there yet. I'm sorry. it dies to control-based matchups, and it doesn't have a good CC for the absurd amount of counterblast it's got going on. But we'll get there. You know, we'll get there. Maybe like set 8 or like a 9 will like solve Lianorn, quote unquote, solve it. We'll see. Anyway, that's pretty much the video. Thanks for coming on, David. Man, we went over quite a lot, but I think there's a nice message to be had at the end of all this. Even though there's some unfortunate elements that culminate into the buyouts, there's some good hope on the future. It's a good prospect. Yeah. So
sure, I have a lot of I've got a lot of hope for the format. This is going to be a good format. We've got some bumps in the road.
Yeah, that's to be expected, but we just handle them as we go along, and Bushy handles them as we go along too. I mean, hell, even I've been like a big V player, but recently I've just been doing Standard, and that's because Standard is just really developing as a format. It's become a really great format, and it seems like with all the other sets that are coming out, it's just going to get better and better. So there's a lot to look forward to, guys. Anyway, that was the video. So if you do enjoy this kind of content, guess what? I've got 80+ videos related to Vanguard down on my channel, so go check it out. And maybe subscribe while you're at it. Turn on the notification bell for the next time that I upload. And with that, take care, and God bless.